How's everybody doing? My name is Ramiro, and I'm an addict. Uh, so a little bit about me. I was born May 20th, 1992, and I grew up in a family that was full of. I mean, they were nice and everything to us, but I mean, me being the black sheep, I always got, I always got beat up, hit by my parents. My mom got to a point where she didn't even know what to do anymore. She gave up on me, and so she stopped hitting me, but my dad still kept hitting me until I was like about 19. I started doing drugs when I was 12. I started in sixth grade when one of my cousins he came over to visit. Little did I know his family. My aunt was going through a divorce with his dad, so she was spending more time with my house. And so my cousin brought over some weed, and back in that time it was in 2001 when Chronic was barely getting out, and yeah, Pretendo and stuff. So so I started smoking with him, and I remember the first joint I had was the Purple Haze, the Stress, the one from TJ with a whole bunch of seeds in it, and I had major headache with that thing, man. Like and then he brought over that the good better stuff. And so I loved it, I fell in love with it. I kept smoking it, every day. And I used to smoke it before I went to school, or like I wake up like at 6 in the morning, I smoke, and my mom would give me a ride to school. And so I smoke it at school too in restrooms. I had my own little program. I take 2 hits, and then I go to the next restroom, and I kept doing it over and over every day, so I wouldn't get in trouble. Well, all that started getting worse on my end because I started getting into more trouble, started being late to my classes. I started getting in trouble more at home. Me and my dad started fighting more, and it got to a point where I just really started focusing more in school so I could be away from my house, so I wouldn't have to be there to avoid fighting with my dad. So I was going to college. I was going to work as well overnight, and then I'd be home for like 2 3 hours to just shower and leave. Well, it's got so bad that one of my coworkers started giving me coke. I started doing cocaine with them. I started getting high a lot. Well, I wouldn't call it high, but I was getting all coked out, and I started drinking too. Because so I can kind of wind down. And it got to a point where I was drinking 36 pack a day. It was natural ice, and that was the cheapest beer I can get in Pomona. And I fell in love with that. Well, I started noticing that I was getting pretty bad at it. I'd get drunk and hop on my motorcycle and I'd take off. And then the next day I would wake up and my mirrors be broken. I'd be all scratched up, and I wouldn't remember the night before. I started like hating myself for it, and I still kept doing it over and over and over. And got to a point where I got into an accident going to school. I was going to UTI. I hit a car going 55 on my motorcycle, and through the grace of God, I walked away with just a hairline fracture on my toe, and I broke my clavicle, messed up my back. So now I got a kyphosis, which is the opposite of scoliosis, and so now I got to deal with that pain. But I was in jail for a lot, for a cool minute, not a long ass time, but the whole time I was in jail, I missed my brother's first communion. I missed a lot of my family members' birthdays, and so I really hated myself for that in jail. When I got out, I started doing dope, because the coke was too expensive, and I couldn't find somebody who had good coke. I was paying $60 a gram, and for a gram for like 10 bucks that I was getting for it. I mean, I couldn't beat that, so I started doing dope, and I was living in Pomona. I had 5 cars. I had a pretty nice house. I thought I was doing good, but just when I started doing that dope, I lost everything. I stopped, caring about myself. I stopped caring about my ex and her daughter, and just let it go of myself. I ended up losing the house. I was living on the streets. And I got so depressed that I didn't care about myself. I started getting more high, and I started trying to find ways to kill myself. I started doing acid, started doing shrooms, started doing PCP, and I got stuck on the PCP. I fell in love with that, and this I would say this last year. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the San Gabriel Valley, but over there in Covina, actually about a year and a half, 2 years almost, a friend of mine passed away. He got hit by a train. And I used to do PCP with him. And I'm assuming he probably smoked and he fell asleep on the train tracks and the train hit him, and this guy had a stage 4 cancer. He was fighting a lot in his family with his family at home. He had a lot of problems, and then I felt bad because he used to call me and I used to be like, "Fool, quit bugging me, dog." And I used to just hang up on him, and so I lost my friend, and it made me stop wanting to do PCP, and I wanted to change my life around, but I couldn't get away from the dope. I kept doing it and doing it, and this last year I was in jail. I got out November 10th, and then ended up getting busted in January again. I went in jail, and my my girl that right now that I'm with, she ended up having the baby in February 25th. She was pregnant the whole time, right? So she made it a point to bring it up in court, and the judge was nice enough to let me stay out and have my time to be with her to see the baby born. He put me on house arrest. So the whole time I'm in at the hospital, I'm going through all these emotions, and obviously it was hard for me to smoke inside the hospital. It was really hard for me to abstain from it, but at the same time I was going through so many emotions that I just didn't know how to feel, what to do, what not. And so when my son was finally born, I really got to thinking to myself, like, what am I gonna do in my life? What's gonna be of my life? I can't stop smoking dope. I have a son. I got to take care of this kid. It'd be messed up for me to leave him, like, and trying to be selfish and get high to myself. So I decided to just get away from her and run off, right? Well, I ended up getting busted. I got caught by the cops, and I got arrested. And the judge told me, he said, "Hey, man, I seen your family. I want you to change your life around, and I don't want you to be like this, and going in and out of jail. You've been doing this for 10 years now. We know you already. You're here in the court." So he said, "I'll cut you a solid. I know some people we've been doing business with, and they're really good friends of mine. And they'll take care of you." So I'm like, whatever. I ended up taking my time, and they told me they're gonna sign me to a program, right? Little did I know, I thought it was gonna be Salvation Army because I already been there before. Well, they came in and visited me in jail. They still didn't tell me one name, and so I'm waiting in the tanks to go to the program, right? And when I got greeted by the R&R lady, she's like, "Oh, you're going to Fred Brown." I said, "What the fuck's Fred Brown?" So I ended up coming to Fred Brown. As I'm getting there, the people in the van, they're like, "What the hell? Like, I'm gonna run, I'm gonna get out, I'm gonna stay through this." And I thought to myself, I'm like, how bad could it be? I know for a fact that if I just stick this out through, I'll be able to get out and I'll go back to smoking and doing my thing. Well, I ended up sticking it out through the program, and the first person that greeted me was Nancy. And she was the most humblest person I've ever met in my life. Never has someone been so kind and so nice to me, and so loving and nurturing. She really means a lot to me. She first thing she gave me was a cigarette, and then she brought me a plate of food. And then she made sure I was taken care of at the house. Then she made my bed for me and everything that one time. But it was at one time. But after that, like I got to meet the rest of the staff. I also got to meet Liz. Liz was a really good person. I was in her office crying my eyes out. I was telling her, like, I don't want to be here, whatnot. And I still remember the first thing she told me. She said, "Look, I'm gonna give you a cigarette. This is the only cigarette, and I'm never gonna give you one again." And she lived up to it. It's true. And Roxy too. I want to thank you so much, Roxy, for having such a nice program. I didn't have any faith in this program, but being in this program, doing the letters, doing the work, and actually applying myself to it, it really helped me out a lot. I graduated on Friday. I'm out in outpatient now. And, I'll tell you, I love it, man. Like, it's like one of the greatest things that's ever happened to me. I used to hear a lot of people come up here and share and say, stick to the program, do good and everything, and you'll have, your wildest dreams will come true, and it really is true, man. Like, I've been seeing a lot of jobs hitting me up to work for them. I've been having a lot of good things happen to me, that's just doors opening up without me even wanting to go out there and bug people or anything like that. Today, like I even had a full ass schedule. Today I went, I had my orientation, I had my first group, I had my meeting with my counselor, and I'm talking about this from like 10:30 in the morning, and the whole day I was there till 5 o'clock. And now I hear him now, and I'm still with a smile on my face, happy as hell to be here. All I gotta say to you guys is just really trust this program, really put in your work, do the letters, and just whatever they tell you to do, man, just do it. They're not gonna ask you to do something that they wouldn't do themselves, and it's really easy, bro. Everybody, sorry. I just want to leave you guys off with a quote. It's from a Confucius. He says, "Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall." And I really like that quote a lot. So thank you guys.